Hello, learner. Welcome to Mr. Quickest Teaches. I'm Mr. Quickest. And in this lesson, I'll be simplifying Nancy Fotheringham Cato's poem, The Road. Now, this is a sample analysis if you're viewing it either on YouTube or Facebook or any of my social media handles. Now, to get the complete course that contains the full analysis as well as predicted questions for each of the poems and also A-star quality or grade 9 answers, essays for some of the poems, please visit www.mrquickestteaches.com. You'd find the link in the description below. Now, furthermore, for one-on-one or group tuition or lessons for the GCSE on all four components, the prose, poetry, drama, on scene, you can reach out directly to me on my number, either on WhatsApp or Telegram at +233 55 398 5533. If you also need help with English as well, history, geography, and sociology, I also help with that as well. We are going to do some trial lessons, and then you decide if you want to sign up or not. I don't only help in terms of the analysis with just the analysis, but also help with writing as well, which is key because some students understand the poem or the prose, but they are unable to present what they know on paper. I help with that as well. With that said, let's simplify Nancy Fotheringham Cato's The Road. Now, this is about the poets. So Nancy Fotheringham Cato was born on the 11th of March 1917, and she sadly passed on the 3rd of July 2000. She was an Australian writer who published more than 20 historical novels, biographies, and volumes of poetry. She's also known for campaigning for environmental and conservation issues. Her book on plant development is about environmental vandalism in her hometown of Noosa was first published in 1979. 3 editions have been published to acclaim. So that essentially is a brief summary about the poet. Now let's look at the poem itself. So this is how the poem appears. Actually has 20 lines in total, quatrain stanzas each. So 4 lines, 5, that's 20. The poem essentially is about this traveler who is quite a braggart and talks about the various things that she is able to do. I mean, they are able to do if it's gender neutral or uncertainty in terms of the gender of the poet, as they travel, in a moving car. Let me begin by reading the poem aloud. The Road by Nancy Fotheringham Cato. I made the rising moon go back behind the shouldering hill. I raced along the eastern track till time itself stood still. The stars swarmed on behind the trees, but I sped fast as day. I could have made the sun arise and night turn back to day. And like a long black carpet behind the wheels, the night unrolled across the countryside. But all ahead was bright. The fence posts whizzed along wires like days that fly too fast, and telephone poles loomed up like years and slipped into the past. And lights and movement, sky and road and life and time were one. Why through the night I rushed and sped, I drove towards the sun. It's quite a fascinating read. Now, one of the first things I want us to talk about is the point of view of the poem. So the poem is in the first person, so it tells us that the poetic voice or speaker is talking about their personal experience, not hearsay. Now, this is useful because it drags the reader in, and so the reader wants to find out a bit more about this speaker. Now, look at the first claim that the poetic voice makes. He says, I made the rising sun go back. So this suggests that the speaker issued a command or a directive that stopped or prevented and maybe also impeded the rising sun. The rising of the moon. So I made it. So he doesn't tell us how he did it, but then Or she doesn't tell us how she did it, but then the impression is that there was a directive or there was something that the person did that prevented the moon from rising. And this is important because we know about the pattern of the moon's rising. So like the sun, the moon rises in the east and sets in the west. So for whatever it's worth, the poetic voice said something and then the moon couldn't rise anymore. Now what's the literal explanation? The literal explanation of "I made the rising moon go back" suggests that there were clear signs of the moon appearing in the sky, but the speaker stopped it by rewinding time and stopping the approaching dusk or sunset. If the moon is appearing, the inference is that it's getting darker, even though sometimes the moon can be seen, during the day. Now, in terms of the figurative explanation, there's specification there because I made the rising moon go back because rising there provides vivid visual imagery of the personified moon standing up. So the moon is standing up from possibly a reclined or a resting position, but again return to laying back because of the speaker's command or whatever the speaker did. Now again, we see the use of personification because go back is another personification. So the characterization of the personified moon as go back provides vivid visual imagery of it stepping back or beating a retreat, presumably because it's afraid of the poetic voice. So it returned to where it was instead of acting the way it wanted to act because of the poetic voice. Now in line 2, the poetic voice describes where the personified moon went to as behind the shouldering hill. Now the preposition behind provides vivid visual imagery of the personified moon hiding behind the personified hill, because shouldering personifies the hill as well. I'll come to that in a bit. So it's hiding behind the personified hill like a little child behind its mother, possibly out of fear to avoid being seen by the powerful poetic voice. Now the second personification is the hill. Remember, the moon is personified. Now the hill is also personified. So the speaker's use of the shouldering to describe the hill personifies it and presents it as someone that is burdened by extremely heavy weights, or as someone that bears the burdens of the world. Just think of the in your mind's eye of Atlas, carrying like the whole world on its shoulder. So that's that impression, the second personification of the hill. Now we also see the use of anaphora as well. So the speaker repeats "I" again as the first word of the third line to emphasize the first-hand and personal nature of an experience. So this qualifies it as an anaphora. Now the past tense raised tells that the speaker is speaking about a past experience. So it's not real, but it's not real time, but raised. So the speaker is speaking about a past experience and relates that she's traveling at high speed, because if you're racing, you're traveling at very high speed. Along the eastern track reveals where all of this happened. So if anybody knows where the eastern track is, then the person knows where the things that she's talking about happened. Now the second claim that the speaker makes is that till time itself stood still. So this suggests that she was so fast that personified time froze or stopped moving, possibly because she was too relentless and fast. So she's so fast that even time couldn't keep up. Time froze. Itself emphasizes the personified identity of time. So again, this is the third personification. So the moon is personified, the hill is personified. Here as well, time is also personified as well. Then we also see the use of sibilance. So that's seeing the repetition of the sharp S sound in stood still, which provides a vivid visual imagery of the personified time screeching to a stop. Then we see the use of metaphor and personification, the fourth one. The poem has a lot of personification. So the stars swarmed on behind the trees. So the plural stars tells that there were many stars. Maybe two or more. So that while swarmed together provides vivid auditory imagery of the stars flying together in a cluster and making bee-like noises. So observe the use of visual imagery in the word swarmed, and then also swarmed also provides auditory imagery as well. So like they were making like bee-like noises. Now the repetition of behind the trees reveals where the stars were. So the question is, Are the stars hiding from the speaker like the moon? Remember, we saw that in the first time when it says, I made the rising moon go back behind. So again, is this hiding just like the moon hid behind the shouldering hill, like like a child hiding behind its mother? But I sped fast as day. So again, the speaker is able to do things that other elements cannot do. So it's so fast that time itself stood still. Or at least it keeps up with them. So, but I sped fast as day shows the speaker claiming that though the stars were extremely fast, she kept pace with them. They didn't run quicker than her. This is the second time that she's trumpeting her quickness. I raced, and now she's also saying sped. Now, the third and the fourth claims is I could have made the sun arise and night turn back to day. So here, again, creates the impression that the speaker decided to restrain. This time, she decided to restrain herself. And don't do two things that she could. Make the sun rise and turn night back to day. So there's this sense of restraint. Like arrogance, but then restrained in my actions. Now, the fifth personification is when the speaker says, I could have made the sun arise. So these are claims, but then there's also personification there as well. So, made the sun arise personifies the sun and creates the impression that it was asleep. If you need to arise, it means you are asleep. So, it was asleep but could have been awoken by the speaker. So, the impression the speaker wants the reader to get is that she's so powerful that she could awaken a sleeping sun. Made the sun arise also provides vivid visual imagery of the personified sun sitting up. So if you make somebody who's arise, it means the implication is that the person was lying down and now you've caused that person to sit up. Then we see the use of conjunction as well. So the conjunction and indicates a simultaneous action. So I could have done this, and so it's again a power move. I can do A and B at the same time. So indicates a simultaneous action that can take place with the first. So I don't need time to make the sun arise and after that I turn night back to day. No, I can do both actions at the same time. Now, so the speaker's fourth claim and night turn back to day shows her claiming to have power to literally rewind time or to rewind the day. Because if you're able to turn night back to day, it means you have power to rewind time or to literally, maybe color the sky and then make it day or invite the sun from wherever it is. Now, figuratively, however, and turn night back to day creates the impression that night and day is one person with dual sides, right? I mean that the speaker has the power to magically command to metamorphose or flip. So I can make night just turn this other side of its body and then it's going to be day. So if I want that to happen, I can do it. So that essentially is what she's claiming.